Hello and welcome to the LGC Rising Playoffs recap. The new DLC just dropped, which means we get player pictures, consistent frame rates, and the games are being broadcast on the official LEC channel. What could possibly go wrong? As you can see, I'm in a little bit of a different setup this time around. I am currently in Vierzon in France because I was helping Serence at the Lafaille tournament. I was helping out a little bit, and it was a fun experience. If you haven't watched the games yet, go ahead and do that. The finals was between Serence Bloom and Vitality Rising Bees, and overall banger 5-game series. Big shoutouts to all the players and all the stuff that was there. It was really fun to interact with them, and yeah, in the end, Vitality took the series with a 3-2, taking away the win at the Lafaille LAN. I'm not gonna go too much in depth about what was going on and whatever. That's maybe time for another video or stream or whatever. Let's see. Special shout out to Sha and Yoshia, who performed big time really. Yoshia being the spearhead of the team, going for the aggressive plays, for invades, looking to accelerate the game, and Sha being the backbone of the team, always consistent, always reliable. So yeah, they definitely carried the series for Vitality in my opinion. Also, I think Josh had a huge impact on the series with his preparation and drafting for the team, especially against Serence. For game 4 and 5, they made it really difficult for us to get a foot in the game. So big shout out to them, to him especially. Like, good job. Yeah, with the glazing out of the way, let's get back to talking about the LGC. A fun fact: many wondered why the player pictures were kinda random seemingly, but we figured out that the player pictures always show the people that are in-game on the screen. So if you see top lane and AD carry on the screen at the same time, then you see the top lane picture and the AD carry picture. It's not like in the normal Worlds broadcast or whatever, where you see both top laners, then both junglers, then both mid laners, but it always shows the players that are on in the game right now seeing. And yeah, this might be a little bit confusing, but if you get used to it and you understand it, then yeah, it makes sense. The LEC chat was obviously, as predicted, completely horrible, and I wanted to give a big shout out to the moderation team. Obviously, they couldn't get everything, and they also did some timeouts or bans where it maybe wasn't justified, whatever. But overall, they tried their best, and with the myriad of messages coming in, being hidden transphobic or hidden sexist and everything, it's super hard for them to keep up with it. I managed to not get timeouted a single time, so that's a big W in my books. I know that a lot of people in the scene got timeouted. Maybe don't write sexualizing comments, even if they meant as a joke. Might help there. Alright, now let's get to the games. So to kick off the playoffs, we saw Serence Bloom versus Solary Academy. This was the chance for Serence to finally show that they are not only best of one merchants and that they could actually win a best of series, a proper best of series. And they started off the series really well, taking away game 1 after 48 minutes, a little bit of a slugfest, but Vicky and OP in the end just outclassed, and they continued the dominance in game 2. But now the pressure was on. Can they continue and take away their first best of 5 win, or will they get reverse swept by Solary? Well, game 3 began looking like more of the same. Serence taking the lead in the kill, securing the Feast of Strength, but dropping the first 2 Drakes. This meant that they couldn't accelerate the game as much as they wanted, and with enough time, Pivotless on Sion became unkillable, and Clef on Kog'Maw just a menace, the artillery machine that could not be reached, could not be hit, could not be attacked. And yeah, that way Solary managed to secure their first win in the series, and from there on, Serence looked kinda dizzy. I really hated the game 4 draft, and Pivotless on Poppy completely destroyed OP in the 1v1 on side, like solo killing OP twice or 3 times. And being unkillable menace, running around the map, la 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 la, I'm poopy, I'm just one-shotting everyone. Game 5, once again, the draft was just too hard to play for Serence, it felt like. The Tristana Milio combination with enough levels just was Seras had no way to reach the Tristana in any fight, and she could just roll over her keyboard and kill everybody. Now something needs to be pointed out again is Atakan. Okay, our favorite objective, my favorite objective. Everyone that watches my streams knows that I love this objective so much. Oh my god, it's so fun. And yeah, Seras fell for the charm of the Atakan. Having a gold lead, running there, getting the Atakan, and then giving over 4 kills, losing all their lead, and inevitably losing the game. It cannot be overstated how much this Atakan is just a bait objective, okay? If you don't know how to play it, don't play it. That's it. Alright, if you're not LCK Gen.G, then you're not playing it. There are a lot of teams and worlds that still don't know how to play the fucking objective. Don't expect that you're able to play the objective if world's teams can't play it. It's... well, anyways. Great display by Solary, managing to reverse sweep the series, and also, as of my knowledge, getting the first reverse sweep in WNB history. My personal MVP candidates for the series have to be Pivotless and Clef, as they both showed up big time. Clef was always consistent even in their losses, and Pivotless after game 2 really leveled up a lot and completely destroyed OP in lane and just in general impact on the game. So yeah, both of them having a big time performance. I think Clef was already known to be probably the second best AD carry this year, or the best AD carry even, like just purely carry wise. And Pivotless also like stepping up a lot in this series. The second series in round 1 was between SK Avarosa and Blue Otters. Now it was time for SK Avarosa to show their potential in a best of series, finally. It started off looking really bad. The first game was pretty slow, but it exploded after 28 minutes when Blue Otters just pushed down mid lane and SK engaged, got cleanly swept, and suddenly the game was over. Like, monster performance by Emran on the Ambessa here for this game, who managed to maneuver the team fights almost perfectly. But then in an unexpected turn of events, Blue Otters swapped out Emran for GWolfG. Now, on paper, this swap makes a lot of sense. You want to diminish Lysia's champion pool, and Wolfie and Lysia share the same champion pool. Sion is one of the strongest champions in the game right now. I think Sion is the strongest champion in the game right now. So it makes sense to go for this swap. But it really took away firepower from Blue Otters, which hurt them in the end of it. Like, it also didn't look like Wolfie was feeling comfortable in the game, or Blue Otters knew how to play around Wolfie. I don't know why, but in the end, Wolfie ended the game with 0 kill participation. 0-1-0 was just non-existent in the game, and the rest of Blue Otters, even though they got some nice early advantages, couldn't really keep up with the firepower of SK. Like, Miela on Zeri was completely insane after hitting the 2-item power spike, taking over team fights. Now, after this disastrous loss, Emran got brought back into the lineup, but it just didn't work out really. Like, Lysia looked like a completely different top lane all of a sudden on Rumble, and Urgot outplaying dives, killing Emran 1v1. It was just a completely different kind of Lysia than we saw the whole year over. And Blue Otters just seemed to falter. And with that, SK Avarosa managed to take the game, took the series 3-1, winning 3rd and 4th game. And yeah, really good performance by SK Avarosa. Now, do I hate the idea of swapping out Emran for Wolfie? No, I think it's a smart idea in theory. Wolfie also probably didn't feel as comfortable right now, so yeah, I think this was a little bit of an overread from the side of Blue Otters, a little bit of an overreach, trying to leverage all the advantages they could, even though it wasn't really necessary. Now let's get to the most anticipated series of the playoffs bracket so far, which was the upper bracket finals between Eterna and G2 Hill. Now this was the question: does Eterna live up to the hype after going 3-0 in the group stage and also demolishing the open qualifiers, or were they just a fluke and G2 will just destroy them as they do with every opponent? Well, game 1 started off really strong for Eterna, where Sashi Silas completely dominated the opposition, solo killing Rim in lane and just destroying team fights Like, Sashi Silas was insane. For game 2, G2 went back to one of their classics with Zenith's Vayne top lane. As she does, she just, died twice in early game, which happens when you're playing a ranged top laner. But then started being unstoppable in the side lane, Uzi in team fights, and it was just a pleasure to watch. Like, her Vayne gameplay is so clean. She completely solo carried this game. Although Rim also had her fair share in this game. You can't count out Rim here. Her arena was really, really good. Now in game 3, the early invades from Shinna finally started to show some results. Like, Shinna is known for her level 1 shenanigans, and this time around she got some real advantages, taking away the blue buff of Delicate and then running away with the game, making the game miserable for C on Caitlyn, and then the draft gap for G2 Hill just took over and they took the game cleanly. In game 4 we saw some more rather interesting adaptations, with Shinna picking away the Ivern of Delicate and C taking the Yasuo bot lane, which was expected to happen sometime in the series. Yeah, but once again, the focus was on Sashi. Sashi completely destroying Rim in the mid lane matchup, on Syndra going insane, and also Starry, who really locked in on Mundo, mostly known as more quiet, weak side top laner, managed to lock in, completely destroyed the backline of G2 Hill in almost every team fight, unpunished, just push the enemy Nexus, and Eterna managed to equalize the series at 2-2, which means both teams were on match point and the pressure was on. Now for the last game of the series, both teams went back to some more comfort picks. We saw Zenith's Aurelia making a surprise return. Not surprising, but yeah, she made a return. As well as Delicate's Lilia, a champ that we don't see that often in this meta. Sashi on Zed usually more prominent in the jungle right now. And Virtuosa on Elise. Once again, Shinna went for some early shenanigans on to Delicate, which did not give her a significant advantage really, which means that Delicate was still up in CS after the first clear, managed to get a kill in mid lane with the help of Virtuosa, and the game ended up being a glorified slugfest with moments of brilliance from both sides, but Sashi once again proved that she was the better mid laner, just mechanically insane. With that, they managed to be the first team to secure a spot in the finals in Paris. A little fun fact for the first round of playoffs, all carry top laners lost to the more weak side top laners, and all the more weak side top laners really popped off, I feel like. Like Pivotless and Lysia had surprise performances where it wasn't really expected. Like the expectation was, yeah, Emerald and OP gonna destroy them, whatever, but they really popped off and showed off, which is big W in my books. And Starry also, on the Mundo especially, having a great performance. Now let's get to the second round of playoffs, where SK Avarosa matched up against Solari Academy. And the series started off with a complete demolition of the side of SK Avarosa, getting CS leads, significant CS leads in bot and mid lane, and even though dropping some kills over to the side of Solari, their team fighting prowess was just too much to handle for Solari. I, to this day, don't understand why Solari just didn't swap Clef out of this lane. Like, it would have made so much sense to just get the Sion into the Yunara lane and Smolder into Ornn, which means Smolder can just free stack, but whatever. And game 2 once again began pretty promising for SK, with the Yorick destroying side lane and Apollonia getting some nice advantages in the early game, but a T1-esque Baron play by Solari gave them an advantage, and they used this advantage to chain another Baron, get the soul, and then cleanly finish the game. And from there on, SK Avarosa looked like a husk of themselves really. Like, they didn't seem to click anymore. Thorn and Vigu completely took over game 3, and game 4 was more of the same, with Clef and Tristana once again destroying the opposition, and both games ended cleanly in 29 minutes. Overall, Apollonia looked a little bit elo held, and the trio of Trez, Kiana and Lysia didn't seem to click. They all got caught off guard a lot of times, and yeah, they just didn't click at all. Now Solari showed some really strong macro as well. Like, I really liked their proactivity around the map, especially on Barons. They just outmatched the chaotic and disconnected playstyle of Escabarosa. Now for the last spot in the finals, we got the rematch of the Equal Esports Cup finals between Solary Academy and G2Hill. But other than in the Equal Esports Cup finals, G2Hill left no room for errors. It was just a completely clean sweep start to finish. The first game was still a close back and forth, with both teams having moments of brilliance and good plays, but after a Nash Force into Infernal Soul for the side of G2Hill, they just cleanly finished the game and G2 managed to take the lead. After that, G2 just steamrolled Solary, who fought back in the early game of Game 2, but didn't manage to put up a fight afterwards, and for Game 3, G2 just completely rolled over them, finishing the game before the Baron could even spawn. So this means that our two finalists for Paris stand. It's G2Hill versus Eterna. This is once again a final in Paris where Sashi and C play against G2Hill. Last year it was the Coupe d'Etoile, BDS Valkyries against G2Hill, where Sashi and C took the short end of the stick. But maybe now it's time to redeem themselves. G2Hill looked a lot better in the lower bracket finals against Solary than they did against Eterna in the upper bracket finals. So I really hope they can keep their form, because then I think G2Hill are still the expected favorites. Like, if they play how they played against Solary, I think they will demolish Eterna. But Eterna still has the X factor, because we don't know how well Virtuosa and Starry will play with low ping. And G2 should have more stage experience and be more comfortable on the stage. Meanwhile, Eterna, most of the players didn't play on stage yet, have no experience, and could crumble under the pressure, but that's still to be seen. Anyways, we will see all that transpire on 31st of October at 1 PM CEST, either at the Paris Games Week live or on twitch.tv/LEC. So if you want to catch the action, be there. I'll also be there live in Paris, so if you want to say hi or punch me in the face or whatever, just feel free to do so. I'll be there. So yeah, let's hope for another 5-game banger series and see you all there. Bye!